All right. I tell you what, it is so exciting to be here. First, for Woody and the whole Excellence in Dentistry team to put together such an incredible seminar. And they do this year in and year out. And, look at how lucky we are right now. We're down here in Destin, Florida. We've got gorgeous weather outside. We've got incredible seminars coming on. And Sally, having performed so well and informed us with everything that she always does. It is just great. You're down here, you've got the camaraderie of your staff, a little bit of partying action is going to end up going on, especially I saw a group from Colorado Springs last night, and they seem to be having, quite a good time. And, these are the kind of things that really, really build the practices and get you going. But I did speak in Excellence in Dentistry in Vegas in 2003, and that was the last time that I went ahead and spoke. I had spoken on a dental topic at that time, and there's been a few things that have happened in my life since then. And it's made me a whole lot more committed onto a few things, and I really want to share that with you. And hopefully, by the end of this, I will have motivated you all to overcome some adversity, how to deal with it, and get you really, really pumped and excited to be to work on Monday morning. I just have tremendous energy all the time, so I have to try to calm myself down. But the way I want to do this is I want to take you all on a journey. And this is a journey basically that I went through. And I want you all to think about that journey and put yourself into that position so that you can kind of reevaluate some issues and so forth on what you do with your lives. The journey I went on is not one that I asked for. I really, I had no desire. And if we think of where your lives are right now, just take a second and just kind of think of where you are. Some of you are later on in practice, some of you are early in practice. We've got assistants, hygienists, some of you are married, some of you are single. You've got busy lifestyles going on. Some of you want it to be a little bit busier. And just take a little bit of time and think about that on where you are. You may have grandkids that you're wanting to spend a little more time with. In my life, a year ago, everything changed. And where I was in life is, I do have, as you heard, 4 children. I am a single father. I have those children half of the time. Been very, very active in all of everything they do. I coach teams. I coach 3 basketball teams. I coach 3 baseball teams, and some of those are traveling. So my life was just bam, 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 always something going on. In fact, to the point that it was just insane. But I thought I was living the life. I was active, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was, just had everything going. Working hard with a big practice, I was merging another practice into mine. It was just one thing after another, waking up in the morning, getting ready, rolling, getting to bed at night, getting a little bit of sleep, and it was incredible. At least I thought it was. And a year ago, on March 18th, I woke up in the morning and I had a lump on my neck. Now, I don't know if you all can just imagine being extremely healthy. In 22 and a half years of practice at that time, I'd missed 1 day of work, and that was when I was 30 years old. And that day I missed because I had meningitis, so I was allowed to miss 1 day. But all my health, I was working out all the time. It was just shocking, and I wake up and I've got this lump. Within 2 weeks, that lump was still there, and I'm having a needle biopsy done. And, this, again, could happen to anybody tomorrow. It could happen at any time. Well, I don't know if anybody's ever been through a needle biopsy. In dentistry, we're kind to our patients. We put topical on. We got these little teeny 30-gauge needles. We got 27-gauge needles. And we got these little things that, we're trying to be so nice. Medicine's not that way, and needle biopsies aren't that way. So I'm standing there, and they come up and they say, we're going to do this biopsy, and they take this needle, and the thing, it feels like it's about that big. And they come up, there's no topical, and they just grab my neck, and they stick this needle up into my neck. And then they take it, and they just kind of roll it around like this. And then they wipe the cells from that on a slide. And it'd be neat if it was just one time, but they got to have more than that. So they do it again. So they stick it up there and they run it around and then they wipe it again. And the lady was as nice as can be, but she had to do it again. So after 2 times of having this thing stuck in my neck, I'm not real happy, but you know, you're there, you're just dealing with it. Boom, they stick it in again, and now she's got to get the margins around this lymph node. So she wipes that, and then she goes, oh, I'm not sure if I got that. So let's go ahead and do this again. So I had the pleasure of having this needle stuck in my neck 4 times, and then they wipe it, and then they're going to evaluate these cells. Well, it takes about an hour for them to read these biopsies. And 1 hour later is when my life changed completely. I didn't think that there was going to be anything wrong. I thought I was too strong. I thought I was invincible. And I found out that I just wasn't. I got the phone call, and all of you just imagine right now in your life, if you got a call from a doctor, and that doctor said, we've just received the biopsy, and I'm very sorry to tell you that we found malignant cells in your lymph node. We know that this is not the primary site, and we're going to have to do some tests on you. We need to schedule a CT scan, we need to schedule a PET scan, and I need to have you in my office so that I can again look at you so that we can find out where this cancer is coming from. It'll change you tomorrow morning, wouldn't it? You know, ladies, that may be breast cancer, cervical cancer. You know, there are so many different areas. It may be malignant melanoma, but every single one of us can get hit with this tomorrow. And, you know, your risk factors, we all try to reduce them. I've never smoked a cigarette. You know, you never know at what time you're going to get hit with something like this. Well, you can only imagine what my thoughts were. I was just traumatized. I was just in shock. You know, you don't know how you're going to handle this. So I leave the office, I head over, get some blood work done, and as soon as I got done having the blood work done, I start walking to my car, and I sit down in my car, and that's when I really realized the extent of it. And I realized it because it started occurring to me, I had to tell my children. I had to tell my children that their dad was no longer invincible, and he was going to have to go through some cancer treatment, and I was going to have those kids strong. And they were going to have to support, and I wasn't going to be sitting there the whole time taking care of them. At least that's what the thoughts were. Well, as the tests went by, we finally found out where it was, and everything got worse and worse. I had a stage 4 squamous cell carcinoma, left base of tongue. It had metastasized through 3 levels of nodes. I was supposed to miss 2 to 4 months worth of work. And, you know, being in dentistry, sometimes too much knowledge is not a good thing. So I obviously went ahead and looked up on the internet and tried to find out what the prognosis on this was. And there was a 30% chance I was going to be dead within 2 years. And there was a 45% chance I was going to be dead within 5 years. So right now, just kind of think about that. In your lives, as busy as you are, and what you have going on, just think of the thought of 30% chance in 2 years you're not here. And imagine what you would have to go through as you would be dying and the misery that you would put your family through when this was happening. Well, this is what I got hit with. This is what I got hit with a year ago. So before that, I was out here like you guys. I was out here pumped. I was excited. I was thinking about every single thing. And now I've been issued the biggest challenge that you could be issued. I had to overcome the adversity of facing the ultimate challenge of life and death. Kind of puts everything in perspective. And it kind of, you know, you look at the different things that you've gone through in life and how are they going to improve and how can you make things better and how can you get through these things. So many times you see people and they sit around and they go, oh, woe is me. You know, I got hit with this. Oh no, people are going to have to take care of me. And this is how we, you know, get dealt with every problem that comes across our table. In my case, the other option, there was only one option. I had to beat this. And there was no other choice. Because if you don't beat it, you're gone. So what I had to go through at that point, again, thinking 2 to 4 months worth of missed work. I was just excited to think about working. But here's what happened. Every day, they would sit me down on a table, and this was every day for 7 weeks, I would sit there and have to be perfectly still. They put a little tattoo on me and they lined me up to this machine, and each day, 18 different angles, I got hit with radiation, 20 to 40 seconds every day. On top of that, I had chemotherapy once a week. They'd put that little IV in me and they would drop that poison in me. And the reason they had to drop the poison in me was to try to make it so that those cells would be weak so that they could go ahead and kill them with the radiation. 7 weeks of this. The different things that started happening were just unbelievable. You would start losing your hair on your face. That's not that bad. It made it easier for me to shave. I had this little line coming across there. In fact, it was kind of nice. Lose the hair on my back. That wasn't bad either. You know, anybody that's watched 40-Year-Old Virgin, you know, if you get that hair on your back, remember they get rid of it being a man-o-lantern? Didn't have to worry about that. So, not that I was waxing prior, but I definitely didn't have to at that point. 2 days into the treatment, 2 days after my first chemo, I like Chick-fil-A, you know, and we all go zipping through Chick-fil-A, and there's a specific sandwich I like. I like that char-grilled chicken wrap. You know, and it's got chicken, it's got lettuce, it's got tomatoes, it's got the wrap, and it's healthy. So I would go over there. So 2 days after the treatment, I go and have my first bite of that char-grilled chicken wrap, and you know what? It all tastes the same. It has no taste. So I lost my taste. I lost almost all of my saliva. My neck was just getting fried. You can only imagine that radiation every day pounding on you. You're putting salve all over. The chemo was just brutal. It would just make you sick. They'd put you on steroids, and the steroids were worse than the chemo. The steroids just get you all revved up. You know, when you hear of roid rage, it's real. You don't even know it, but you just become so irritable, but you're on fire, and then you're eating everything in sight. You come off of it, and when you come off of it, you collapse. You just shake. And on Fridays when I was off of that, I'd be at home by myself, and I would just shake. And these were some of the things that were going on, and then it got worse. They had to put a tube in my stomach because your mouth, you know, when we see those recurrent aphthous ulcers at work, those little things, and the patients come in because that little teeny ulcer is causing so much pain. So we got all this medicine and we're putting all this stuff on to try to help them. Just imagine a recurrent aphthous ulcer that encompasses your entire tongue on both sides and completely goes down your throat. That is what was going on in my throat. We had to put a tube so that I could eat, because every time I swallowed, it was as if somebody took a razor blade and just scraped it on my throat. Every morning I woke up and I would cough. I didn't have that saliva, and I'm coughing up blood, and I'm hurting. The way I decided I was going to eat, when I got lightheaded, I just squirted some Ensure into that tube, and about a half hour later, I got energy again. All of this time that I'm facing that, I had two choices. I could sit back and just take it and wimp out, or I could fight it. During that entire time, I did not miss one day of work. I woke up in the morning at 8 o'clock. I went on in, I sat down, I got that radiation, I got my chemo, and I was so excited to go over to work. See, we all sit there and we think that we've got it tough at work. You know, we're dealing with problems all day long, every single day. You know what? You take that away, life is tough. Work for me wasn't work. I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work. Every one of us get to go to work. It doesn't matter whether you're the dentist, it doesn't matter whether you're the assistant, hygienist, bookkeeper, coordinator, does not matter. We get the opportunity to go to work. Now, this was the adversity that I was facing. And that's how I chose to do it. I was supposed to be on Demerol and morphine at the same time. I wouldn't take it. The pain of the messing you up on the medication is so much worse than the pain I was going through. And the challenge of now getting through this was so important to me that I wasn't going to take it. 1 month after I finally got through the treatment, I had to put another challenge on me. I went ahead and did a triathlon. I had lost 21 pounds, but this is how I dealt with adversity. Now, each one of us, let's now start thinking. We've all been hit with this, or whatever else we're hit with. How are we going to let any little adversity get us in a bad mood? How are we not going to accept the challenges that are put out there for us? And we got challenges every day. Every single day we're hit with challenges. You know, if you're running a practice and an employee walks out on you, what is your challenge? Is it going to crumble you? Is it going to make you miserable? Hey, it's just a challenge. Get excited about it. At least you have the challenge there. So in that work environment, let's look at how we're going to overcome these challenges and overcome this adversity and turn it into a great opportunity. The first thing that we have is you got to identify where that adversity is coming from. If your practice is slow, why is it slow? You know, if you're losing patients and they're going out the back door like Sally says, how come? We got to find out what that adversity is. Then you got to come up with a plan to overcome it. Do everything you can to find out the answers of what it is that you are fighting and how you're going to beat it. And once you do that, you've got to execute that plan. Once you've started it, you can't give up. Because if you do, and you let it go, you're right back where you were, and you haven't gained anything. So look at those issues that you have going on in your practices. Every single one, you know, is it slow right now? You know, I used to think of, you know, when things would slow down in the practice, you know, it's like, oh no, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Oh, it must just be the economy. You know, that's not good enough. The thing is, you got a slow practice. You're not making as much money. So what should we do? As dentists, what should you do as dentists? Use a slowdown as an opportunity to learn another technique. Allow it to incorporate a new technique into your office. You know, if you've been wanting to do CEREC restorations, if you've been wanting to do periodontal plastic surgery, and now you've got a little bit more time to do it, go in and do it. I mean, this is an opportunity if things are slow. You know, if you've got an employee that's been with you for many, many years and they choose to leave and you're very sad that they left, you can't sit there and wilt and say, this is going to destroy my practice. This is an opportunity to get somebody in who isn't going to cost you as much money, who's bringing energy into the practice. And we all don't want to lose employees. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the adversity of each situation that comes on in. You want to attack it and make the best of it. You know, if you're working in a dentist's office, if you're an employee in a dentist's office and somebody leaves, you're sad to see him go. But what does that do for you? It gives you an opportunity to either cross-train into their position, or it gives you an opportunity to get more and more skills that you never had before, and it makes you a better person from it. So take that adversity that comes to you. Think about how really bad it could be. These little things that we're talking about, they're not that bad. And I'm sorry, when I'm sitting here talking, I get pretty dry at this point. Saliva is coming back a little bit, so I'll just take a little sip there. Thank you. Oh, that feels good. But, you know, when we look at that type of adversity and how we can overcome it and how we can channel our energy to making things better, let's take this and move it on to a personal area. You know, we look at life and the different things that we're getting hit with in life, and it is nonstop. You know, there is cancer. There are problems with your kids. You know, you've got work issues going on at all times. You just got to overcome any of those problems. You just can't give up. Don't sit there and let something minor make a big problem in your life. If you're not getting along with a coworker or family member, you know what? Life is too short. Life is just too short. End it. End it. You know, so many of the different things when you're sitting there going, I may only have 2 years to live. And if any of you right now just had 2 years to live, how would you spend those last 2 years? Before this happened to me, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking, well, man, I would go on this trip, I would go on this trip, I would go and, you know, do this and this and this and this, and I would have all of these things that were personal. But you know when that happens to you, you know what you really start thinking? You want to think about what mark you can leave on this world. What good can you do? Who can you help? Who needs something more than you do? You know, when I went in those cancer treatments, there are people there that don't have a chance. One of my colleagues, Just passed away in December. He was one of my instructors down at MCV. Incredible man. He was in my study club. Incredible dentist. Incredible human being. He went in for a hernia operation. They found he had pancreatic cancer when they opened him up. He lasted 2 years until he passed away. It could be so worse than everything we've got. So we need to appreciate and think ahead. What would you want to be doing? Well, you know what he was doing as he was dying? He was coming in for his chemotherapy, and he was bringing the ladies strawberries that had chocolate on them. You know, this guy's, he's not going to be around, but he's still thinking of taking care of other people. We need to think about that in our lives. Think about what we really want to be doing. Is it all about us, or is it what we can do for others? What can we provide for our children? What can we provide for our friends? You know, we sit there on personal areas, and several years ago I started going through a divorce, and you know, you see the worst of all during that, and you're a part of the worst. You know, you see anger, you see hatred, you see, you know, lying, deceit, hypocrisy. You see all the negatives on the world. And when I went through that, I lost a lot of faith in humanity because I saw so many negative things. You know, one of the great things that occurs when you have cancer, you get to see the positive of humanity. And my faith was completely restored because people are incredible. And what we get to do every day in our practices makes it that much better. So when you guys are starting to think about what you're going to be doing on Monday and how you're going to end up practicing from here on out, let me just tell you some of the things that occurred with me. Every day when I was going through this, I would get 3 to 4 letters each day from patients. I would get calls, at least 5 calls every single day from patients. I got calls from people that I coached their kids many years prior. We don't realize, as we are going through life, what an impact that we have on others. But every one of you has got that impact going. You know, it's so neat to be a part of a profession, and no matter what your position is in that profession, that we can go ahead and do so many incredible things. But you know what? We're saving lives every day. Can you imagine? We are saving lives every day, every one of you. When we take that blood pressure, and that blood pressure is high, and we send them over to the physician's office, we just save their lives. When we do that oral cancer exam, we're saving their lives. We're taking infection out of their body. Hygienists, every time you're getting all of that tartar and just gross stuff off of those teeth, you're saving their lives. How many times, I mean, just think how great that is. We get to get up every day and save some lives. We get to give them self-esteem. You know, you do that great veneer case. You don't realize what you're doing to somebody's life. You're changing it. You're making them have confidence. They're able to go and interact with people in a completely different way. We're making sure their breath is good. You know, that's just a little thing. But you know what? It changes people's lives. It helps them in every way. And you're doing that every single day. Every single day that we wake up, whether you're handling their insurance, you're still a part of the team. You're still a part of that team that is making a difference in everybody's life. So when I was going through that cancer, and I went into work every day, it got me by, and the reason it got me by is because I was doing something good for people. So on Monday, when you all get up and you're saying, oh man, I have to go into work. It's Monday morning. It's Monday morning, and so many of us think that way. Well, instead of thinking that way, think of it in a different light. Just imagine if you couldn't go into work on Monday morning. Just imagine if your job was something where you were selling something that you didn't have faith in that product, but you were still selling it because you wanted to make a buck. Just imagine if that was your existence. We are so fortunate that is not our existence. When you go into work on Monday morning, think of all the great you can do. Talk to those patients, convince them, educate them to do the things that you know will make a difference in their lives. And in improving their life, you're going to improve your life in every way. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, as you can tell, I'm moving quickly on this, so I know you all are excited about lunch. But the last thing that I wanted to mention about is on a personal basis, so that each one of you don't have to go through what I went through to start really understanding this. You know, you sit there again and you think about the bitterness of so many different things and the challenges and what your neighbor is doing and all of the different people you interact with. But the biggest thing that I learned at the end of all of that was love, and how incredible it is. You know, to sit there and look at your 4 children or your parents and the different people we get to interact with. Cut the baloney. There is no reason to not just let yourself go and allow yourself to love them. You know, your employees and the other people that you work with, your coworkers, get in there and appreciate everything they do. Life is too short. Life is too short, and we get hit with too many things to waste a minute having to worry about what somebody is going to do. It will improve your life on Monday. It will improve your life from here on out. I have really enjoyed having the opportunity to talk with y'all. And if anybody has any questions at any time, I'd be happy to talk with you. But on Monday, get in there, attack the problems that you're dealing with every single day. Get excited about the problems that you get to deal with every day. Go out and love your family and your friends. I really appreciate the time. Have a magnificent day.